writes in his petition, "Fortunately, I turned my life around."
As protests continue around the country over the Eric Garner grand jury decision, new information suggests it was more than a chokehold that led to the street vendor's death at the hands of a New York City cop.
Explosive new claims today over the death of father of 6 Eric Garner. Under the headline, "It wasn't just the chokehold," the New York Times says in an editorial Friday that the pile of cops on Garner's back broke a basic rule of safe arrests, especially for people who are overweight and have medical problems like asthma.
He was on the ground like this.
Emergency room doctor Sampson Davis told me about the physical stresses involved.
What has happened internally as someone, especially of that girth, is laying in this position?
Right. So the organs are not able to get in. So you can imagine you have an oxygen supply now. You have air, but as I press on you, you're not able to take in a deep breath. So eventually, the organs will starve of oxygen: the heart, the lungs, the brain, and over minutes of time, you will become unconscious.
NYPD guidelines call for suspects to be turned on their side or seated after handcuffs are applied to avoid the risk of what's known as positional asphyxia. Harry Houck is a former NYPD detective.
What the Times editorial says is, this breaks a basic rule of safe arrest, especially for people who, like Mr. Garner, are overweight and have medical conditions like asthma.
And how would the police know that? The police would know that he's overweight, but wouldn't know he had asthma, wouldn't know he had a heart condition.
The shocking video also shows that Garner received minimal, if any, medical help as he lay on the sidewalk waiting for an ambulance. The video shows this moment when one officer speaks to the stricken Garner. The video does show Garner is at one point repositioned on his side. This exchange between a bystander and one officer may shed light on the apparent lack of medical help from the police.
Why nobody do the CPR? He's breathing. He's breathing? Yeah.
Garner's 2 oldest children spoke to Katie Couric at Yahoo News.
That's my question. Why EMS didn't help them if their job is to save people?
Protests continue over the grand jury's decision not to indict the officer who seized hold of Garner from behind. And not just in New York. Demonstrations were held in Boston, Dallas, Chicago, and Washington, D.C.
And police around the country are prepping themselves for more protests expected to take place over the weekend. Last time